This is just a little video for all the guys on the team so that we can hopefully all figure out this track a little bit easier together. Um, just want to say for anybody else that sees this on my YouTube channel, I'm not the fastest driver out there by any means. I'm no expert in a GT3 car. This is just a video that I've put together for me and some of the people on our team to get ready for the Nurburgring 24 hours. This is not necessarily a hot lap video. This is just a video to explain the track a little bit and hopefully help people learn it better. So again, by no means am I a fast GT3 driver, or am I necessarily any good at the game. Before we get into the lap real quick, there are a couple hiccups in here. This is not the cleanest lap ever. It's a long track. It's going to be very hard to get every single corner perfect. So I'll probably be pausing the video every now and then just to kind of explain some hiccups here and there that I have and what to do differently. Or sometimes just because there's a series of corners and stuff where I need to pause it to explain things a little bit better. But some main points to talk about first real quick before we start is in a GT3 car, you need to do as much braking as you can in a straight line. If you do have to brake, which there are plenty of times on this track where you have to brake in a corner, trail braking is your best friend. I'm going to leave the overlay thing here up so that you guys can see my telemetry in the bottom left. My cursor's not showing up, but oh, there it goes. So you can see my telemetry, I guess, in the bottom left, or at least my pedals and my wheel. The other thing is, these cars can take the curves on this track, but I still highly recommend that you try to avoid them as much as possible. They just unsettle the car really easily. They'll make you lose traction, and it can kill a lot of your runs, especially on the longer straights. So it's okay if you hit the curbs in this kind of car, but it's definitely good to try to just practice avoiding them. And one last thing is this is not this is not a hot lap video or a hot lap that I've done. This is the fastest lap I've done. I think it was 23.3. Which I think is respectable. I think like an 18 is like a pro time, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, let's just go in and get into the lap here. So coming up to turn one, stay to the left, obviously. These first two corners are a lot slower than you think. I brake right where the curb kind of starts here, and get a lot of steering into the car, and then this corner here, the left-hander, is very tight, but if you keep it wide like I do here, you can carry a good bit of speed, but again, that corner is a lot slower than you think it is. Next corner, braking, just trail braking a tiny bit to get it down, and then right before the curbing on the left is where I'm going, and going in a second. This is one of the hiccups. Obviously, don't touch the curbs. One thing to note real quick while I'm thinking about it also is these curbs over here, on all the curbs on the GP circuit are okay to touch. They're not going to settle the car anyway. It's the high curbing on the Nordschleife circuits where it's really going to unsettle the car. But you can, on this turn, if you don't get in the grass like I did and you stay more left, you can carry a lot of speed and get onto that curb and be perfectly fine. I just took it a little too hard. Coming down to the next corner, there's going to be, I guess, like a drain here on the left, so you're going to start braking there. All the way down to second gear. This corner is very slow. You see I'm being very light on the gas and then trying to get it. And then here, just a little bit of a lift. You can take it flat here if you want to. It's a little bit tricky. I prefer to take it with a little bit of a lift. Typically, I like to miss this first curb, and then I'll take up this right curb, but don't touch the grass, you'll get a slow down. Coming into the left-hander here, braking just before the 100-meter board, going down into third. You can carry a lot more speed than you think. And then getting far left with a tiny bit of trail braking, keeping it in third to get to this corner. Probably a little bit too early on the power, but I was able to get through it. And again, taking up a lot of curb on the outside. Here we're going to brake just before the third board here. I think it's the 50-meter board. And trail braking a little bit into the corner, taking in third. keeping it really tight and keep swinging left, or excuse me, swinging right. And you see, as I exit the corner, I'm still turning right, trying to get way far over to the right here. And almost as soon as I get to this curb is when I'm getting onto the brake with just half brake pressure and then a lot of trail braking and going into second here in this corner. A little bit wide on the exit, but it's fine. And then going onto the GP circuit, braking just past the end of this barrier and going out down into second gear for this corner. Lots of trail braking throughout this track, as you can see in these first couple sectors. Little bit of a lift here as we take this first right-hander, and then we're going to brake for this next corner about the end of this graffiti on the ground. I took it a little bit hot in here. This section was kind of sloppy. But you can basically keep it in third. The only reason that I shifted down into second back before was just because I was taking a little bit too much. So you should be able to take it all in third. And it's really just a lot of light trail braking as you come through this S section here. Braking again just past this graffiti on the ground. Again, you can take it in third very easily. Try to avoid the curbs. It just unsettles the car. But now it's going to be flat for a while here, and as we crest the hill, we're gonna have a right-hander, and it's just about a half lift. You should be able to double apex it with one curb and then the next, getting on the power again after the lift, and then just keeping kind of tight on the left here. Coming up to this corner up here, you're gonna see where the asphalt turns a little bit darker. We're gonna lift there with just like a little half lift, and then get back on the power, and then braking where the shading changes again, and then going into second gear. You can take it in third. To me, the car just feels a little bit sluggish, but this whole section up here is going to be flat out. The next corner, the next left-hander, is going to be a little bit tricky as well. We have this board up ahead, so this is a pretty intricate section, so I'll play it in slow motion here. So I'm going to get on the brakes for a little bit, just shift down into fifth gear. Then as I take this curb, I'm going to be completely off the gas and the brake. You can eat up this curb just fine. I don't know if it gives you a slowdown if you touch the grass. I would assume it probably does. But don't be on the power or else you can really unsettle the car. And then you can see as soon as I'm getting over the over this curb, I'm immediately getting back onto the brakes for this next section. I'm going to shift all the way down into third, keep it really tight to the curbing here on the right, and then we're going to get hard on the brakes for this left-hander. You want to go really wide right and cut in almost like a late apex so that you can set yourself up for the right-hander. Both these corners are a lot slower than you think. And then because we've also got a long flat out section here, so it's really important to get a good exit if you're trying to get a good lap time at least. I'll play this back at full speed just so you guys can get a sense of everything. Hopefully it all makes sense then. So, and again, this section, a lot of trail braking in a lot of these slow corners because you don't really have a lot of room to do any braking in a straight line. Flat out for a little bit longer here. And then we're going to have a left-hander down towards the bottom of this hill. It's very, very easy. So I'm going to lift about when I get to the end of this patch of tarmac. It's very easy to want to get on the power early here. But if you do, you're going to go into the grass. So just let the car slow itself down in the corner and get on the gas later. And then get back onto the brakes immediately. And you can take this in third. One thing I wanted to mention that I forgot about too is a lot of these corners you can take in third. It sounds like the car should be is kind of sluggish, but you're still sitting around 4,000 or 5,000 RPM. So a lot of the corners you'll find that you think you have to take in second, you can take in third, and it's going to be quicker on the exit, except for a couple which I'll point out. But that's just something, I don't know if it's just me, but that's something that I found to be helpful and that I kind of didn't realize after messing around a little bit watching some videos. So coming up here on this right-hander, going to get on the power, and then we're going to brake about where that sign is. This is a very late apex corner. It's easy to want to go in sooner, but you want to stay on the outside and cut in and get a really good exit because you can get on the power better. Obviously, I kind of missed the apex here, but if I was going a little bit slow, I'd be able to cut in there, get on the power really early, and have a really good run for this next little straightaway. Immediately shifting to the right because we have this left-hander here. And then this is another kind of tricky section. When this curbing ends, I'm going to just barely tap the brakes and kind of coast through until we get to this apex, and then get back on the power in third gear, shifting down to third here. So I'll show that. So just a very light brake, and then getting on the power. Here, there's not really many braking markers. I've been braking about where these lines start. You're going to shift down all the way into first gear. You can take it in second, but again, it's another corner that I feel like is sluggish in second, so I take it in first. And just easing on the power out of those corners. Down here, we're going to be braking on the right side of this curb, down into third. A good bit of trail braking to get the car turned in. And then we're going to brake about here a little bit before the curb ends, and we're going to shift into second. I find that going on the uphill, you can go in third if you want to. I like second because I think you get better traction up the hill, and it gives you a little bit more speed. Another thing about going on this uphill section is that you don't have to brake as hard as you think you normally would have to. You can let the hill do a lot of the slowing down of the car for you, for lack of better words. Yep, and just getting on the power as soon as we can. That's another big corner because we have a long straightaway here. So getting that corner right is very important. This is all flat, and then braking at the black sign here. Another late apex turn, turning in really late, keeping it in third gear, and getting on the power late or earlier because of the late apex. To have a good run on this next straightaway. Just keeping it to the left here the whole way through. This is a long straightaway, I think. And we have the Bravery corner coming up, so we're going to go on this right-hander and stay far right, and we're just going to give it a lift and a tiny tap of the brake, and then just shifting down into fifth gear. So tiny brake, turn in, immediately get on the power in fifth gear. If you keep it in sixth, it's sluggish. A little bit of a lift here, and then here's a little bit of a tricky corner. So I'm braking a little bit before the curb here. This one I come in a little bit too hot and miss the apex on it. But keeping the car to the left here along the curb, and taking a bit of a later apex, and just I miss it here, but you really want to just hug the curb all the way through. Obviously, you can see I'm missing it here, but really just hug the curb all the way through. It's a very long curb. And then we have our first carousel coming up here. I like to brake about where this dip is and go down into second gear. You can carry a lot of speed through this corner, a lot more than you think. You do not want to touch the curb on the inside here. If you touch the curb with that front left tire, it's going to really unsettle the car. It can even kick you out of the carousel and into the wall if you're not careful. If you miss the carousel for whatever reason, just get a little bit on the brakes, and just ease up into this part. It's going to cost you a couple seconds, probably like 2 seconds, and your run through the next couple corners. But if you keep it out of the wall, you're good. It's a little tricky getting into the carousel. I'll play it again, but just getting on the brakes and slamming down into it, staying a little bit on the throttle, and then as soon as you kind of get to that point at the end, just slam the throttle and the car will kind of control it. I got in the power a little bit too early there, but it's all right. So coming up here, this corner is deceptively flat. And then here, just a little bit of trail braking, shifting down into third, letting the hill do a lot of the work, and being a little bit on the power, braking at the top of the crest, and keeping it in, what was that, third gear, I think, and just hugging the corner. Flat through this corner, but immediately on the brakes and shifting down to the third. This is what I call the switchback section of the track. I think this is sectors 10 through like 13. This whole sector, or whole section of track, is going to be a lot of third gear corners. There's really, I don't think I shift at all out of third gear, this entire section. And watch the pedals here, it's a lot of trail braking, a lot of big getting on the power and then immediately trail braking, getting on the power, immediate trail braking. It's a very technical sector. In my opinion, it's probably the most technical section of the track. And it can cost you a lot of time. and it's going to be really difficult to pass slower cars during the race. But again, trail braking, keeping it tight on the apex. I missed it a little bit there, but slowing down and then braking at the end of this curb, keeping it in third, keeping it tight to the apex there, staying right for this next corner, keeping it in third still, tight to the left, immediately back on the brakes again, trail braking. I shifted into second because I went in a little bit wide. It's okay to go wide there and get onto this edge of the curb here. It's not going to give you an incident. You can carry a lot of speed through there. I was just carrying a little bit too much, and I also kind of bumped the curb there, and that's just a good example of getting on the curb, and it just kind of lifts the car up and throws you off a little bit. So that's why it's a good reason to try to avoid the curbs just a little bit. But you can keep it in third. Again, trail braking here. I like to shift into second for this corner, and then back on the power. And then we're going to do a bit of a late apex here. I miss it a little bit, going just a little too hot. And I like to shift for second for that corner. Hugging it left. And then here, I don't know. So this is a big drop. I don't know what kind of damage this is going to do to the car over time. So what I've been doing is I've been trying to take it a little bit slower, and maybe either lifting or sometimes braking. I was trying to push a little bit because this was my last lap out of a full stint, so I was on low fuel and everything, warm tires. But I would suggest not necessarily taking it without slamming the ground, but it's probably a good idea for us to not be flying through it in fifth gear. So, and it's really just a lift and a slight brake, and you can carry a lot more speed than you think. But then you have a very deceptive corner up here. I went a little bit wide, and this corner goes farther right than you think. So you can see I kind of lift over the crest. I take a little bit too much curb. If you take it right, then you and hug the apex more on the right side here that I missed. You'll be able to take it just fine, but definitely want to lift over that crest, because if you hit that curb and turn in too soon, it really unsettles the car. And even trying to take it flat is just a little bit sketchy, especially for an endurance race. But just a slight lift and staying to the right here. And then it's all flat through here for the most part. Flat through here. You can take that curb on the left if you need to, still flat. And then coming up here, you're going to brake. I like to start trail braking a little bit where this sign is. And it's kind of another late apex. You can carry a good bit of speed. I think I shift to fourth gear. Yeah. Lots of trail braking, back on the power. And then staying to the right side for another late apex corner that I think I shift into second for, maybe third. No, I stay in third. I didn't carry as good a speed as I could have there. The car kind of slid out on me. But you can take it really close to that curb and carry a lot more speed than you think. And we're coming up to the second carousel, braking just about where the graffiti is here. Again, you can carry a lot of speed to this carousel if you hit it right. I don't think I hit it spectacularly well. Kind of loop out of it, but if you stay closer to the curb and get on the power just a little bit later, you can really use it to slingshot you like the first one. I just get on the power a tiny bit too early. And then here we're just going to trail brake a little bit, shift into third gear, and I still haven't quite gotten this corner down. It's a bit of a problem corner to me. This is the final corner before the last straight, before we get back to the GP section. So it's really important to try to stay as close to the left side of the grass as we can, because there's going to be a curb on the right here, and we're going to lift a little bit as we turn in. You want to really hug this curb and then slam the power, and if you get on the power early, you can still carry all that speed. Again, I didn't really hit this corner right. I still haven't quite figured it out. But I think if you just carry a little bit more speed and let the speed and the momentum carry you outside, then you'll be fine. I just don't carry enough speed through right now. But like I said, a little bit of a lift, and then just back on the power to go down the straight. If you hit that corner wrong, it can cost you easily like 6, 7, 8 tenths, maybe even a second going down the straight sometimes. Hopefully this is also a good opportunity for passing cars. Slipstream's going to be really powerful on this straight, and things like that. While we wait to get back to the GP circuit, if you have any questions, obviously you can message me on the Discord, guys. Hopefully this helps. I know it's not a perfectly clean lap, And there may still be things that we find that are better for certain parts of the track. But this is just kind of to help people learn it, because I know there's a lot of people that haven't put too much time into this track, which is perfectly fine. Hopefully that helps everybody out. But anyways, we're gonna be flat all the way down into here. I like to kind of lift as I get to this right-hander. Sometimes I'll just come completely off the gas. Honestly, I don't know how important fuel saving might be for this, because you only get like 8.5 laps, so I don't know if we're gonna get on a full tank of fuel, you get 8.5 laps of fuel, I think, out of the car. I don't know if we're going to be able to gain a half lap back. We'll just have to see with testing, but this could be a really good fuel saving opportunity, but who knows. But I lift and just kind of coasted out most of the time, and then getting onto the brakes about where this curb starts, getting on the brakes hard, then we're going to lift off the brakes slightly, keep it tight to the left, and then get back on the brakes really hard, so not to spin out on that kind of slight left-hand curb, and then take it in second in these last two corners. You probably want to stay, you probably want to stay a little bit farther left on that initial right-hander, but that's good enough for me. So, and again, coming across the line, it is a 8:23.3. Which is, I think, a pretty decent lap. I think we can all be like under 8:30. That'd be super cool. But we'll just have to see how people's times are. But yeah, hopefully that helps. Again, any questions, feel free to message me and stuff like that. And yeah, hopefully this is helpful for you guys for figuring out the track.